Welcome to this module, all about living foods. And before cancer, I didn't even know living foods existed. And it's a whole food category that wasn't even on my radar. I got it, cooked foods, I got it, processed foods, I got raw foods, and I was like trying to work out how to integrate more raw foods into my lifestyle without becoming a beanstalk or losing too much weight or not putting on the muscle when I trained. So I was like, how can plants sustain my body? And that was something that took me a while until I got firmly into this lifestyle. And now I really do understand and believe that it's all about the nutrients that we're flooding into the body. So how do we get living foods? Living foods, people say, well, what are they? Now, if you go into Tesco's or Sainsbury's or any of the big supermarkets, we don't get that many living foods in those supermarkets. Now, you might get cress. Now, we're starting to see in some supermarkets some alfalfa sprouts, broccoli sprouts, mixed bean sprouts, mung beans, chickpeas, lentils, where they've been soaked, activated, and they've started the growth process. And then we can eat them while they're still, theoretically still living. Because most of the food that we get from the salad and the fresh veggies aisle is been cut from its life source, that's traveled across the oceans, that's arrived into the stores for us to go and buy, that has been cut from its life source weeks, sometimes months previous. So it's really important that 50% of my diet now comes from these living foods. Now, another part of living foods is sort of where we're putting live bacteria into the body. Now, we've all heard of Actimel, we've all heard of lots of like these good gut bacteria yogurts that are full of good bacteria that feed the gut. Now, the daily routine that we've got now is that I've got sauerkraut. Now, that's classed as a living food. It's got loads of really good bacteria that go into the body and it starts to populate, because 70% of our immune system sits in our gut. So daily sauerkraut, lunch and dinner, that's what I have. And I love it. I like sauerkraut, kimchi, lots of different types. And I've now got my favorite brand in the UK, which is Loving Foods, which is actually made only like 40 miles away. You can make sauerkraut at home. And I'll perhaps get to that in a later course or a later module. But right now I don't make it. I just buy it in and I eat it and I love it. Going down the macrobiotic, I got introduced to miso, like miso soup. And if you go to sort of Chinese or Thai or Eastern infused restaurants, you'll see that miso is part of some of their recipes. So I use that in things like soups. I put it in the kids' noodles. So these are some of the, it's quite a salty taste. And there's Miso Tasty. These are the brands that I use, which is unpasteurized. Organic, unpasteurized are the types of miso that I use. And they'll last in the fridge for a good couple of months after you've opened them, and it's just integrating them into your recipes and your daily routines. In terms of the veggies, the living foods, I've already covered in the food fundamentals that I have 3 grow zones. Grow zone number 1 is just in the jars. Grow zone number 2 is in the fresh life sprouter you can see over here. And grow zone 3 is anything that you grow in trays. Now, for anybody starting out, a lot of people dive straight for the wheatgrass, straight for the trays, and they're thinking that's where I'm going to get most of my nutrients from. That's a big time-consuming part of the protocol. So building up the trays, seeding them, watering them, pre-soaking the seeds. I actually went to the extent of buying a very expensive cultivating fridge called an Urban Cultivator that's sitting in my garage. Because of my travels at the minute, I'm not actually using it. So I buy the fresh living foods from a company called Akenbury in the UK. In the States, I know there's Got Sprouts and there's probably other similar suppliers. But don't get too held up on the tray greens, because you can get wheatgrass from powders, you can get wheatgrass from stores, you can buy it fresh frozen. So there's lots of other ways of getting these core elements into your diet and lifestyle. So instead of having like fresh living sprouts or sunflower sprouts, you can just go for lots of green veggies. And that's the basis of the salad. Now, if you can, it's better, I think, to get the living foods, and that's awesome. So Grow Zone 1, this is the end result. So I thought I'd start with the end in mind. So the greens, which could be salad or sunflower snow pea. The mung beans and lentils or mixed beans is in here. And then you've got your fresh small brassicas, which I've called, anything that's grown in these cylinders, I then put into these, and they last about a week in these boxes. So making my lunch is really quick. I just, a handful of them, handful of them, handful of them, a dessert spoonful of the mung beans and lentils, and that's like the basis of my salad every day. You can even pre-pack them into boxes. So you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, already mapped out, ready for you. So you've got the whole week's food done and dusted. So even if you're not ready to like dive fully in 100%, eating more, you don't need to be a vegan to eat vegan food, but getting some of the nutrients that some of these, diverse cross spectrum, I never used to integrate these into my life. And I really believe it's a key ingredient to helping me be here today.